The first poem I'm going to read, I actually haven't read out loud before. So, let's see. The end of the 1990s, a militia ode. Under fire, go and relay, spinning in the fantasy compound, well-fed colours touched in to soften the first blow. Go pick ground up razors from feet, absent golden zero, change the radio pumping info wars and blowing out disaster, personal currencies of collapsible space. Trust ears, belonging to citizens, attached to their beautiful heads. Breathtaking virus mountain, get passport poses in the rubble. What is on your face? Looks like enemy light slips in Quintel Pro with its threads screwed to the Terror Cave Lego set. Infant warlord glitch dispersal, a fistful of steel beams into footprints glow. Pool of molten commerce, punch the wind out of flags. Believable heights account for nothing. Where the black box is buried, pull the sea over morn categories, drown out TV repetition with sparks. Go, Masonic Codex, in between doses, we want maps! Ike shoves an owl down your throat and the scream is a connection, making sense inside the Illumine fuck pyramid, pulling pixels from eyes with tweezers. The steak knife heated so could not explode. Plumes charge cut obliquely with you at Waco, defending what shoots defense. Sight trust gone escape route from cities, for when the shit hits your improvised hygiene facilities. Oh, survivalist brochures, take pity, suck asbestos contracts and the tax of sieges. This is about no trust. Lullabies hurt via CIA rewinds, where funds go trailing, new speech tracks disarm. Fear your cultivated plan, militia business on the skyrocket, all over resemblance. They meet on the box cutter exchange rate punishing. Listen, about this deception, armed against global skin intrusion. Fake mountains, faked borders, dissolving fields of pure trade. Information spun an erratic missile, spun threats and decoys into electronic flares, bleaching and clinging to history repressed. Swerves shot down over swerves accumulating, cuts to Captain America losing his shit, shielded and flooding out the backup source to grip with volume, shouting down the hostage ear as threats re-edit the action. Ideology tweaks, stake out the talk shows, will on the cost to be right. Cotton vitriol at any cost soaks up the real herd, where damage aligns over barcodes and signs push for lost decoding. Blanket dirt throws up and snows under the luminous real. All glows in the screen light's conduit distortion. Same apportioned approach. Feast days in the desert. The question is photosynthesis. Dead in a tent, ordinary DNA exposed as any more obvious to the great breatharian orators. Wiley Brooks eating a hot dog in Santa Cruz, its plastic and quantity combined with Diet Coke equals the base frequency of its liquid light. Of course. You must respect the current money system. Use it to buy a bus ticket to Utah, the high deserts where investors are welcome. There, the 3D vegetation is quiet and you can retrain your mitochondria. It's perfect. NASA keeps jettisoning solar wind and the salt flats shimmer. With a 32-inch telescope, there can be no trust in meteorites. What if lunar samples were smuggled in from the Arctic, carried by huskies in their mouths? That seabed and its contents belong in Russia. There is a flag to prove it, and the Lomonosov Ridge has a generous structure. Geology is on our side. Compare outrages. 1. Russian flag, titanium, guarded against rust, nuclear icebreakers hovering in comfort above. 6 US flags on the moon, made of limp nylon and cloth, rigged with wires to wave vacuums, colours gone for all we know. Height that cell technique with obsessive tangents on the glass insects. Plastic moth batters its guts, white with a deranged need for light pinned against a large space of total sky. For a fee, the window could open, celestial ascetics constellating doubt and pinning it on camera for a version of extreme proof. If ever distortions emerge, blame magnets smashed into LED screens, a grain no one wanted, dropped onto sample rates and monitored. The canteen offers nothing but pure light, little variance on administration. You chew the spectrum, mix spit with pure light, health benefits in your glowing face. At night, obsolete, the soil wrong, fake citrus, defoliated teeth, high-pressure sodium disasters, rained down by bugs, everything trespassed the fixtures. The quest narrative woke up well-fed and ready for the physical world. You flinch at the implications, but light gives no choice. It can't backscatter without grass, water rates full of salt, Crystal Lake shines radiant in low-altitude sweatbands where the agreement sets in. On top of the mountain, secretly wearing jumpsuits and goggles, the port facing upwards, the bills facing down, the machines all void you for your errors. Drink only saline bags, access satellites for nutrients, become witness to flames spread nourished on the skyline, eyes draped in flags, eating up the flipped chariot. In the desert, you will be invincible, the efficient body invulnerable, hang up about bodies, to be in control, to cancel reliance on chewing and swallowing. Try repeating the founding, this problem of distance, the lag from your head to your feet, shooting sparks like snacks. You could have money, could slow it down, internalize the rich light, wrap it in sun film. On the breatharian picnic table, maps on napkins, I, no bureaucrat, order it done. This 3D extra set, weighing more than flat states, got to get more than just space. We hit that division by time. It looks like this. All over Utah. Maximum drift on foot did it the wrong way. There were fires and wagons. Glint, your eye says right. Returner of looks, good works. The building radiates on. The building radiates on grid lines, fault admitted, cleanser cut the woods down and stopped for breath. Twin mountains, they were breathing. Controlled the rocks with dynamite and white rhetoric. This version expands in the socket, mountains fixed with landing bays, tracers, done in glass-bloated planning. The bulldozer swells, its jaw is blessed. Take over the big land, space push through to clearing, settle down for a night swim. Sees an enemy ritual, the shape vital, map from air denied height above the tracks, no control of weather, gravity the colour. Deep belief tears and flings the sect split, the snake divides and puts your arms in control of water, glass relief, the house is wood. The church is stone, through the lake light drills a hole in, blind to begin, watchtowers spit in the valley tip and the ground salutes. Then the past flicks off like an insect, and you're in a dilemma, not in a chemist buying supplements raw to get back natural weight. Above Utah, too heavy for the atmosphere, breathing out, it snaps back in. So hungry. The original map described above looks like you're going to lick it, and you do, tasting smug almonds. And so, you have been mining radium for 2 years. Now I'm come home infinite. Eyes made tired for help, it's dark, glowing on inspection. Love, you taste of sunblock and will against the face of beds, cleaned with electric dust, soon become dead. Bright stomach acid, heartburn is for you. Your hand made of minerals, soothed, for heat is made of sounds. Before we landed, salt flats looked like geodes. The beam this time of day is ultrasound, sweeping on the water surface. Now in the very middle of the decade, and gravity, the surface we lived through, at its end we spiral back to one another. They will say, what about Utah? But the plane has split the sky in two, the sun is setting and you are afraid. Erase it. Finance this auto-tourism, selling videos on the internet about the fear you have and want to share, about the body you have and want to change. Like the astronauts, you eat ice cream, but it's not the same. Eating and praising the dead. Dressed as a ghost holding a lightsaber ransom, your dad extends his body into purple Taiwan light. With retro excess, kids drip with candy, and could this be Iraq lately, says the Speaking Telescope, sponsored by toothpaste, stacking inevitable dental returns. On the poverty line, dine out for weeks, fist treats padded with peanut butter, palmed by the fraternity, all dressed as date rape. They have nothing to fear, but shock tactics unaddressed the immune system, malnourished but for the teeth. UV glare retreats on a pay-per-view for competitive eating, the perfect emblem, a bear takes a Chinese boy. Fuck the hot dogs, we want fake blood, goose fat, and the still beating heart of a wolf, smeared on the walls of the Altamira cave. Such superabundance pearls unique, and do you want to get laid off? Sure. Or even bother with heels to navigate and tongue each and every astronaut since Challenger. Too close. Give me freeze-dried sex and sperm, resurrecting the castrated members of Heaven's Gate. 10 years later, the sky is proudly clothed as ours to be fucked and held once again. Each kissed the earth correct, festival exploding with steam, the dream grotesquely beheaded, terror in the basement. I eat a whole pizza to prove it, covered in blood. Fuck the high fructose response unit, selective ritual gathered into a bedsheet. Whose dead did you bring? Vodka, dressed as a shark crawling out of the sea, paraded with lanterns, diving in to the dark. Through the door, shrank down to the size of a wasp, giving birth to the banks, long life milk spat into the gas-fed bear, turning to honey, losing interest at last. Come as a dying bee to the colony, fighting breaks out the fear of whose death? Your own observation platforms, where greed meets an ocean of soda. Let loose, I bathed in it, expecting bad dreams. The child dressed as David Koresh, gnawing the flesh from your legs. And this is called... This is called... This is called Terminal Action Committee. And as everyone has said, and to intensify it more, thank you to Richard, of course. Terminal Action Committee. Elsa Triolet's metonym is the hair you depend on, upheld wisdom teeth acquired and lost without pain, all set. Let's say you finish work at 5, then what? Winter fuel sinks and breathes across the table, no one will touch you, cool imitation wax around your head, frost and snow blue, turns on the radio and leaves the room. Beneath the clouds and static, the red tinge you work for days, watch the left-hand channel in an isolated state, etiolating overnight. It isn't water, calm the paint and plants, drowsy, surrounded by divers. It was my characters telling the outcome, defrauded, calling the phone in, never so close or underprepared. Under the substitute and awake, disturbed by sleeping, choose to walk back on substance. Dropping away, the choir holds your arms behind your back. Undressed walls stripped to late summer, I stop at less because the haze says to do so. The semaphore gone, still come across the traces facing backwards. Fill the whole of the room with smoke. Also our bed, held in galleries surrounded by rough years without instruction, eyes closed, parachutes and the standard bearers of the Pacific. I can hear him singing through the walls. The globe turns with people and you turn them into gain, playing Whose Voice Do You Think Of When You Go? Nothing in the clip is you, aircraft with a burning stick some feet below ground, like water in a casing designed for something else, mixing in a class designed to cover the mouth we make signs before dawn, weak in the temples flowing up and down the stairs. Disqualified on retreat to the new desk, the secret speaks, willing to jar the doors. Anyone not standing up gets caught. You call free drinks, doing maths in his head, bloodshot turning laterally to see the horizon generated by real human faces, behaving at their limit, determined bend your voice to the point. The only recognition kicks by further thought. This is what it looks like when it looks like I'm thinking. The latest instructions with an example set for later, we watched it, counted to refuse sleep, to speak, stop at less, the fuse guard, and no further. What the other lung tells you is you already know. Setting in the new quarter with the grade suspended, each block fits protection, reaching for the start. 5 years. The gates between the sand cost the body you fail to depart. The breeze cracks in, stronger by degrees, and melting at the tips sustained by right. The other limits poised hand to hand in self-assessment with the boys. Night moves from the shape of an L, interstitial, and you go, with other eloquence on the shortened wing. Repeat being in the shallows. I've been gathered to a second guess, and a ceiling attached to the floor. The whole of the night moves. Deferred on each surface, its forehead, and the word glow tests the powdered string. Over the heads of dispute incorporated, rise on the lip to collapsing lips, scale out on the fierce, unnatural light, buried and torn away, picks you off with a rush. The whole recall offered into the curfew snaps back to the present unending, folding the top down, pressed against the evidence. Pressing on in the wrong key with luxury defeats, I know the history, sketching a credit for the mocking fringe. When you repeat to assembly wearing Velcro, sneaking references to remain intact, with such expectation for return, it falls flat. But the pieces have their say, stealing away from the vine, you can picture the closing veins. Through the cone's display case by case, the rotation sets in, dry by day, correcting the line you want to hear one voice, it isn't. Surprised by the outcome, unadulterated reruns, the truck stays outside all night. On the 4th or 5th attempt, it stays shut. Defending the general, stories flip across the lids with home to go to, damages marking out. It will never be like that again, but wasn't the grass quiet the way you held it in component parts, returning to break with the safety dreams of deaf school? Snare up with the signs covered, encircled and refusing to strike. The boxes cling, run out on solar, heads turn to daybreak. Nothing dwells in the expanse, silent and uninterrupted. Force up a new accident by the gram, leaning on the counter for support. Discovered in a corner, speaking tongues, the order comes in late. Throwing caps, the set has a structure. Fire reflected in the glass, you tread and hit the lights. All the furniture moves. Losing interest, exception installed without proof on auto, try infra, second by second, the frame changes hands, lose the names on a slip, give this back a break by the temperature, detectors trip, sublet the star chamber, streaming from a can, the work de-skilled, you don't know how it's made, nothing perfectly sealed until parade day, dull noise and thuds in both parts, scored at the center for a fee. The spin crashes see-through in any language, parted for relief efforts, 2011. Courage shrugs its shoulders, total clarity, and our names in hiding. Thank you.